Hello there. Once again, there will be time for a commentary, and that's a new ship, the Roon. I finally got it fully upgraded. It's taken me some time since I'm basically upgrading and leveling quite a few ships at the same time and making commentaries, so it's taken me a time to get this guy fully upgraded. But I now have all the modules, so I figured it was time to make a commentary of this ship. First of all, I personally think the ship looks absolutely amazing. Like, just looks badass. I love the look of the German cruisers, and the Roon is no exception. Okay, now I promised this Benson I will give him some cover, because as I mentioned in my DD commentaries, 1 versus 2 as a destroyer is very brutal, so I'm relying on the amount of stealth I have that I'll be able to sneak up within gun range, and if he gets detected and has to fight 2 people, then I can give him some cover fire. The map type is obviously domination, so usually getting a few early caps is very strong, since it's quite hard to retake those caps, especially if you have the DD domination or the DD advantage. Now, ship-wise, the Roon continues much in the same way as all the earlier German cruisers, mainly that it's heavily AP reliant. Your HE does very little damage. I think it's 2.3k is the default damage, whereas your AP does almost 6k if you Citadel. So it's obvious that you want to be using AP at pretty much all times, with very few exceptions. Now, the earlier German cruisers had some issues with this because they had a lot of range, but they had issues landing shells from that range. I'm showing the hydroacoustic here. The Germans actually get a better hydroacoustic than everyone else, so that's why I'm using that instead of defensive fire. Anyway, yeah, DD entered B. You can see if the cap stops moving forward, stops progressing, that means there's an enemy in there stopping the cap. Anyways, what I was saying was that whereas other German cruisers have issues at long range because the guns don't have enough penetrative power, making the AP not as potent as it could be because you struggle to get like consistent damage. On the Roon, you finally reach the point where you actually become this terrifying AP sniper that's so strong against enemy cruisers. You're not too strong against DDs, like you can see here, the accuracy is great and the penetrative power already a Citadel. You're not so strong against DDs simply because your HE damage is so weak, but you do have very flat arcs, shell arcs, which means that even if you don't do a lot of damage, you can still do fairly consistent damage at a long range to them. And you do decent damage on battleships as long as they aren't angled towards you. If they're angled, then your AP will simply bounce, but if you get to shoot some nice broadside shots, you can do significant AP damage. Now, the range of course comes into play here. As you can see, the range on this ship is significant, 17.8 kilometers. That's the stock range without, of course with the module upgrade, but without any perks or any additional upgrades increasing it. So this is truly a long range sniper, and it's actually very fun to play. Now, another thing to notice compared to the Hyper is that the turret placement on the ship, you have 1 in the front and 2 in the back. It means that your angles when sailing forward are actually quite bad, because you have to expose a lot of broadside to bring all your guns to bear. Whereas when you're sailing straight away from someone, you can bring a significant amount of your firepower to bear, like 66% while sailing straight away from someone is quite powerful, and certainly nothing to underestimate. Let's see if I can get some shells in on this Fubuki. Slowing down a bit. They ran out. No need. Going back to full speed. Oh, the York shut himself. They have a lot of ships here, and our battleships, as you can see, are being useless. If you look at the minimap, you can see how far behind they are everyone else. And that's sadly a very common theme in the games these days. is that the battleships are very, very cowardly. I took a significant amount of damage, but you saw how much damage I did to that Targo. I blasted him to half HP, and the damage I took was mostly HE based, so my heal will heal it almost all of it back. Now I'm sailing away, and this is where the real strength of the ship comes in, is when you sail away and still pump out damage. People tend to underestimate the damage you do, because they see you sailing away, but the Roon is the exception that's actually stronger when sailing away. That was a pretty good hit. Once again, a Citadel. I think this volley might finish him, if my aim was true. Yep, another Citadel. And that's, I basically deleted that cruiser. Now I'm gonna stop shooting. When you shoot as a cruiser, you get a 20-second debuff. Oh, when you shoot as any ship, you get a 20-second debuff that increases your detection range. But if you wait at the 20 seconds, it will pass, and your previous concealment rating returns, as I did here. So that allows me to turn without being basically citadel by all those battleships. That's why I didn't shoot. Yeah, you get a 6-kilometer penalty on a cruiser. On a destroyer you get a 4-kilometer penalty. On a battleship you get a 12-kilometer penalty. So it's worth keeping that in mind. If you need to make a turn or something and you haven't shot in a while, just don't shoot. Let your detectability or concealment return to the normal value. I'm hoping these torps will disappear. They don't seem to, so I'm turning into them. Now, one significant weakness of this ship is, even though it has all these strengths, well, first of all, the ship is fairly high in the water. It has a very large mid portion, making it quite easy to hit, especially for battleships. So getting randomly getting blasted into the citadel multiple times is not uncommon. I waited for the target to turn before I shot, hoping I can basically snipe him, but I overestimated his speed. Let's see if the second volley is any better. Yep, double citadel and deleted. I used my concealment to stay hidden until I got basically a good angle, and then I opened fire. This Roon is very, very deadly against enemy cruisers, because you can just abuse that concealment and you can just snipe them out basically. Now, you can also penetrate battleships if they give you what this guy is giving here, basically a broadside. If the angle, as I said earlier, not very good, but if you get the blasted broadside, then you can do some decent damage. But usually I don't shoot at battleships too much, because you will very, very rarely citadel them. But still, it's if there's no cruiser to shoot at, this is a good target to pump out some extra damage on. Now I have another target to shoot, the Mogami. Yeah, as I was saying earlier about the weaknesses, it sails very high in the water, and it has very weak anti-air. And the third one is the turret, or not the turret, the rudder shift is very, very slow on it compared to the other cruisers, so it's actually quite sluggish to sail. And with how many DDs you face these days, it's quite frustrating to maneuver around the torps. Like, I'm so used to these more nimble cruisers that I keep eating torps that I shouldn't eat, simply because I'm not used to how sluggish this ship is yet. You saw another 2 citadels, by the way, on this Mogami. The ship just very... I really, really like the Roon, because I've had very consistent games on it. Like, I've been consistently dealing high amounts of damage with it. I'm switching from that Mogami to this guy, because this guy's charging in. The other guy gave a better broadside, but this guy's charging straight in. I basically want to force him to turn. But he's really not turning. I just noticed the only 2 kills on my team are the 2 kills I have gotten. This is turning out to be quite a hard game. That's Mogami Torps. Is he finally giving broadside? There we go. That's what I was waiting for. Yeah, there we go. I was waiting for the broadside. Because now I can kill him. Now he should be 100% dead, so I start focusing on the other target. Yes. Can see if I can get some last volleys on him before he disappears behind the rock. No such luck. Looks like he evaded him, or I simply misfired. I'm asking my team whether basically the enemy has complete control of the map. They have both BNC and my battleships and destroyers are all hiding out in A, which makes them completely useless, and it's quite frustrating because we're losing the game quite fast and they're just sitting there basically not doing anything. But then again, those battleships were the ones that were very far back to begin with, so you shouldn't really expect much. No, the Mogami challenged me again. My heal came up, healing me for 7k, that's quite nice. Wow, no Citadel. This Mogami is misplaying though, he shouldn't be giving me this much broadside. People that's what I've noticed, a lot of these cruisers, they underestimate your AP damage from range. Basically, they give you a lot of broadsides because you're not a battleship, so they're like, he won't do that much damage, but as a Roon, you really do that much damage. And giving broadside is just such a bad move. No, that's nice. Confederate. Always nice to get the Daily Confederate. Oh, and Kraken as well. What's my team been doing? Oh god, see, I should be able to turn into the... Will I turn into this? No, fuck. So this was what I was talking about earlier. Oh, that was such a dumb torp to it. Basically, on my Zal, I would have made that turn easily. But this isn't my Zal, is it? This is my Roon. And I died. That was an unfortunate ending. That's kind of what I meant though. It's quite a sluggish turn rate on it. Wow, what the hell? The only 5 ships that have been killed by me. I killed all their cruisers. All 5 of the cruisers, I killed them. And my team has killed more of friendlies than they have killed of enemies. The Izumo got a team kill. This is, well, this will be a commentary, I guess. This will be a loss though. Holy shit. My team has literally killed more of their own team than they have killed of the enemy ships. That is quite impressive. I guess sometimes you just get games where no matter what you do, you can't carry them because your team is just like basically sacks of potatoes that don't really achieve much. That's a shame. I think this would have been my first win of the day as well, which would have been quite nice. Well, that was a defeat. The money is quite good. 500k for a defeat isn't bad. Oh Jesus. That is quite a depressing sight. That is really a depressing sight. Oh lord. Damage wise, that's what, like 122k damage in a 40-minute game. Not too bad. I was mostly on cruisers as well, so it was like quite valuable damage. I still made like 330k profit though, so even though my team left much to be desired, the game itself was quite fun. As usual, I will start with the modules. Now, the first priority, in my opinion, is without a doubt the main battery upgrade. It gives you turret turn time and it gives you a lot of rate of fire. Basically, it pumps up your DPM a lot. It's a very good upgrade, and you don't need the range as much as you need the DPM because your default range is already 16.2, which is pretty much what you can expect other cruisers to have with very few exceptions. So first, get the damage increase. That will bump up your damage a lot and make the ship a lot more fun to play. Second of all, get the range. Once you have the damage, you want the range, so you can basically gives you more options. And the third is the hull. The reason I only take the hull third is because it gives you a very small buff in maneuverability. The AA increase is actually not as good as it seems on like the number it gives is big, but it actually doesn't give that much effective AA. And the HP increase is nice though, 6k HP. But your HP is already quite good at 43k, so and this is easily the most expensive upgrade, so that's why I took this as the third one. So my priority was the damage, range and survivability, in that order. Now, upgrade wise, first one is the main battery modification. Your guns are your lifeline, so obviously you want to reduce that and them being broken and detonation, very straightforward. Once again, guns are your lifeline, so you want the accuracy, especially since you're shooting from such a long range constantly, so you want to improve your accuracy as much as possible. Now the third one, this is the 3 million upgrade that you get at T9. In this case I took the main battery mod. Now this reduces your turret traverse rate, as it says, but it increases your reload speed. What this basically means is that you get a nice damage increase. Although your turret turn rate goes down a bit, you already have fairly fast turrets. This is nothing like the York, which has very slow turrets. This is quite a fast and a nimble ship, or nimble turrets on the ship, so this upgrade is very much worth it just for once again, the damage increase. You want to be able to pump out those shells. And on this one, I took the engine modification. I'm not 100% certain if this is still needed. This, I think, might have been a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to how often the earlier versions of the German cruisers lost their engine. It happens very rarely now, usually on a Citadel hit, but this upgrade on the other hand is pretty much useless because those percentages, they're not additive basically. You don't automatically gain those reductions, so this isn't as good as it seems, the same way the Captain perk that reduces chance of fire isn't as good as it seems. So I think this one comes up a lot to taste, really, what you feel like. This isn't really a big deal which one you choose. And now, rudder shift time is, in my opinion, a must-have. The rudder shift time on this is already so slow, 9.1, which is, if you compare it to the SAO has a 6.1, so it's like 50% slower at turning, or shifting the rudder, which is quite a significant amount. So reducing it with the mod is very important. And especially as you will rarely be able to stealth fire, shoot from cover, you will constantly rely on evasion to survive. Now this one is once again not that good on a cruiser because you'll use the premium repair, which will reduce the cooldown already on the repair, so not really necessary. Go for the steering gears. And the third one is stealth. Your ship has a fairly large profile, which means that your detectability is already quite high, but with the help of this mod you actually get it down to 12.6, which is, it's not great, but it's somewhat decent. You're not as big of a target. So those are my upgrades. As for consumables, premium repair, very simple. I take it on pretty much all my ships. So it's a small investment for something that you will end up using multiple times per game, very much worth it. Now here I actually take hydroacoustic surge instead of defensive AA. The reason for this is that the Germans get absolutely insane hydroacoustic surge. If you look at the values, it says it increases the assured acquisition of enemy ships and torpedoes, including those within smoke screens. Ship acquisition almost 5 kilometers. What this means is that if a destroyer smokes up and you activate this and you're within 5 kilometers, you will see him through the smoke. This makes you incredibly strong against DDs that try to smoke up and fire from the smoke. So this is very, very potent. You could even use this as the premium one, which means you can have it up almost 24/7. But considering that you mostly play from range, you usually stay very far away and you rarely get into close skirmishes with destroyers, I don't think it's worth the investment. But if you got a lot of money and you feel like it, why not? You might as well just switch the cost to the balloons and use it. But I go for the free one. Here, you don't need a spotting aircraft, you don't need additional range. The catapult fighter gives you some AA and it helps you spot torpedoes and DDs as well. Much better. I don't rate the spotting aircraft at all. I don't think I use it on any ship. And last, of course, the premium heal. In the past I used the default one, but since the patch added another charge, this one is very straightforward as well. Captain perks. Now you can see I have 3 points saved up. That's because I'm saving for the concealment expert. But the first one is obviously situation awareness. You need to know when you're detected or not for multiple reasons. If there's a DD nearby, you can usually pinpoint in which direction the DD is simply based on this perk. And also it tells you when you need to avoid shells and such, so a very important perk. It also lets you know if the place you're firing from, if it's a safe spot, like you can remain invisible and keep firing from it. And once again, since you rely so heavily on guns, you obviously want expert marksman for faster turret traverse. The third perk, straightforward again, superintendent. You can see all the consumables it gives you. All 3 of them you use every single game most likely, so very, very good. And here, this one is a bit, here there's some options. Now, last stand, your engine doesn't break as much as it did in lower tiers, so not really that needed. It's pretty useless. Demolition expert, your HE shells are simply so weak. Like, I mean, your chance of setting a fire is a pitiful 11%, and your HE damage is 2.3k. The HE is so weak that you rarely actually end up using HE. So I guess, I don't know, if you like using HE a lot, I guess this is an option. But personally I just went for the advanced firing training because I felt like that the biggest weakness of the ship was the lacking AA, so I tried to bolster it a bit. And in case you start seeing a lot of carriers in high tier again, then you can switch to defensive AA, and this one will bolster that a lot by increasing the panic range. So there's a bit of option, you can choose between these two. I personally went for the advanced firing training because I never use HE, or extremely rarely use HE. And for the 5th perk, as I said, I will go for the concealment, because this is a very visible ship, and in high tiers, being a visible cruiser means every single battleship will be taking pot shots at you, so I wish to reduce this. So definitely an option. Or, well, I don't think there's much of an option. Definitely a straightforward choice was what I meant to say. Anyways, that was my Roon commentary. Hopefully you gained something good out of it. Anyways, till next time.